Yeah, so welcome again, everyone, to the first nteract call that we've had in a while. Um, so, yeah, I at least wanted to bring people together so they could figure out exactly where things were at. It seems that we've got ramped up development, and then we've got the sprints ahead of us in just a few weeks. So, yeah, I'd love to hear from. I was originally going to ask Alex what was going on, but it sounds like maybe his internet's being a little weird. And at least for me, I can talk about what my goal is going to be for the sprints and probably for the weeks ahead here, which is to work on the docs sites. So I want to make cohesive docs for effectively our dev docs, and then user docs themselves. So docs.nteract.io for the main user docs. Oh, hey, Andy. And then developer docs for our libraries and components and everything else. And so we've been ramping up on those docs for the last few weeks. Carol and I got started with it and got really happy about this this tool called React Style Guidist, which underneath the hood is actually using React DocGen. And yeah, it's been good. And then Alex has been using it for some of the directory listing components to document how those are used. And they all, so it's great because they're documentation for standalone components with none of the state stuff. It's just about kind of these behavioral components.
Yeah, the doc site looks really cool. I like that a lot, the style guide.
Thanks, Lucas. So, John, if you're there now, I saw you and then before it.
Yes.
Yes, you're coming at sprints. Do you know what you're planning to work on?
I just wanted to help out. I'm not aware of the landscape well enough to really pick anything. I'd like to help with docs in any way that I can. I'd like to kind of play around with the Jupyter extension and see if there are any ways I can learn about that and see areas I can fix any bugs or improve it. I'd also like to get the old nteract theme back. That's kind of, I don't know. I'm just here to listen.
Sweet. Yeah. So I think we have two main projects with leads right now, which are the doc stuff. And so in global sprints, I made a directory called projects because Elijah was wondering how to outline his work that he's doing for the data explorer. And so he put together one, and then I put one in for docs. And other folks are you can lead whatever area of the project you want. It doesn't have to be, of course, the monorepo, because we do also have all the Python projects and Hydrogen as well. So yeah, but if folks are happy with docs, I'm more than happy to keep working on docs so that I can keep teaching others how things are laid out now. I know that a lot has changed in the last year or so for folks that have been gone and are now back to working on it again. So. Yeah. Anybody have questions or want to talk about their own areas?
I guess I just joined to say hi and see what's happening in the nteract world. So I don't know if you guys have all seen the NumFocus Summit stuff that's been registered and whatnot. So we're starting to plan some of those things. And so if anybody has questions about from NumFocus and things like that, I'd love to like figure out how to start contributing at some point, but I haven't gone through all the demo places to do that yet. So maybe Docs is a good place because everyone's trying to figure out how to contribute. So
yeah, it seems like we definitely need a good onboarding. We have some old onboarding docs, but especially as the project has grown more complex with the monorepo, it's become more difficult to explain everything that's available to work at. So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess there's like from a download perspective, like I have a lot of people who I'll point nteract to, and like the download, I guess, because it was nice that I download this and then I have the full Jupyter notebook working from a desktop app, and that's great. But I think it's kind of old, and I don't know if there's ever been better support for um, the environments, Python environments in their various forms. Um, so I'm not sure if that's like something that's being actively worked on or what the story is.
Oh yeah, so we have some old stuff for trying to pick up Conda environments, and we did some detection of them, and we were mostly mirroring that Conda extension from a while ago.
Yeah.
But I do think that we're not quite detecting root Conda environments. People still have to like install a kernel for their Conda environment. And I don't think we have that well documented. It ends up in an issue every now and then. Yeah, that's like definitely one of the systemic problems, because we just support the protocol as is, but we're not launching a Python process. But we could always try to detect Conda environments. And when I was doing some of the original work for the Conda environments, some folks piped up and said, please don't detect all my Conda environments. I like the way I have it because I can be explicit about which are installed. But I don't think that helps a lot of users that are just getting started with it, which is the initial pitch for nteract,
Yeah.
which is, make it really easy for people to get going who may have a lot less background.
Yeah, and now there's a new environment spec, I guess, PyInv. So I don't know if that's even a thing that gets on the radar. So
No, the pipenv, is that what it's called?
maybe it's pipenv. I know there's a new one, a new one to rule them all. It's supposed to be someone talking about it at SciPy next week. So,
Oh, nice. Yeah, and then the other thing that I think somebody came in asking about it, and I like outlined what they could do for packaging a Conda environment along with the app that we ship, which I think is still a great idea. It's just like putting the rest of the glue together to put that in is great. Even though I think it's also kind of a scary, messy thing, because every time they update, they're going to get a new version of the kernel, and it's not like an environment that they can install packages to. It's like technically they could, but it's not intended for that. So I don't know. I haven't thought through that one much. Yeah.
Cool.
But Andy, you should come out. I don't know how much I like pushed the global sprints out, other than making a repository and like writing about it in the Slack, but it's open for everyone. It can be global, and then let's see, I'm gonna pull up the dates because I'll forget otherwise. Right, so we made it July 28th to August 3rd, but people can jump in and out during that time, mostly because we noticed people had overlap in different areas. So
so is this the idea that as many people come out to Los Gatos as possible, or is it kind of like, or are you looking for people to set up the satellite spots more?
I'd love for people to come out to Los Gatos, but if people set up satellites, then I'll help them coordinate them. Last time we ran it, we did it in Los Gatos, and it was basically like we just invited a bunch of people we wanted to work with or that we were already working with, like each of us individually for things. So there was like work happening on Binder and other Jupyter parts. But yeah, mostly Los Gatos, but I definitely encourage the satellites. But it's not like I've organized a global sprint before, so I mostly followed along from Mozilla stuff. Sarah helped put together a lot of the like documents for us to outline it. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. This is just
well, let me know if you need NumFocus to like try to push it to the rest of the projects, or make it. I mean, like we could definitely put it in our project updates and things like that. But we haven't yet, so I think that's just, we didn't know what you guys wanted.
Yeah. I think our problem right now is scaling out sometimes beyond me. A lot of people have like picked up different maintenance duties, which is great, because I really hope that others can. And I think a lot of the times the limit sometimes feels like, in order for the sprints to work well externally, that will also have like enabled contributors in other locations that can kind of help organize their own local groups, and then that should help. That's my guess. I don't really know, but maybe we should just push it and see how well we restrict limits, and if people are able to help each other remotely, then we'll do really well. So I guess the answer should probably be, yeah, we should go ahead and put it into the NumFocus updates.
Cool. I mean, so when Pandas did theirs, we had a video and we had a they had a pretty good kind of checklist of like, you want to contribute, do these things, set yourself up, and mostly what ended up happening is that the groups all over the world met and you got everything installed and working for the Pandas dev environment, and then they like fixed one doc string, right? Which is fine. That, you know, I think something like 180 doc strings fixed. But they basically kind of said, here's a satellite, here's like where you can start, and here's how a doc string should look, and here's a little script to run when you get your doc string working. And after that, now you have people all over the world that have the development set up. So at least that's something that's usually the first hurdle to contribution. So maybe having a guide like that for the setup, I mean, it could help you put that together for the satellites.
Yeah. Okay. I should definitely. Yeah, we can get some onboarding stuff ready, which should help. Yeah. So I'll outline it in the project for the docs one, and then also make sure that, you know, we're like pushing out that also general approach to doing the dev docs to get people onboarded.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Alex. My audio wasn't working on computer, so I called in as well. So hopefully that's a little less robotic.
Cool. You want to talk about the directory listing and kind of what you've learned? I was actually hoping that you'd be able to like pull it up and show the PR. It's been really good.
Yeah, I can try to share the screen. We can give it a try. Can everybody see this?
Yeah,
I can.
it's looking good.
Great. Okay, so one of the things that I've been working on recently was some users had mentioned that the directory listing between the Jupyter extension and the commuter app were sort of disparate, and in particular, they seem to like the commuter app design better. So what I've been working on lately is to try to refactor the listing out for both of those into one individual package, and made a lot of progress on it recently. I think I have a couple of pictures here at the bottom of the most recent. Yeah, so here's a picture of both commuter and Jupyter extension, and now they look very similar. And basically, it was a neat experience for me to be able to learn about a new, or at least new to me, design pattern called compound components. And it basically is just being able to take a typical React component and add in a couple of static method components inside of it, and it allows us to have, let me see, I don't have any of the code up here. It allows us to be able to basically move the individual parts of a component around. So if we just look at one of these listings, for example, which is made up of 3 different parts here, the icon, the listing with the link, and then the time since saved, having the compound component allows us to be able to sort of use any of those individually or shuffle them around really easily, just as easily as moving around a couple of HTML tags. So it's a really nice, easy to work with pattern, and also allows you to be able to use those things individually. And here's a quick as Kyle had mentioned with the style guidist, which I think is super cool. The first time I checked this out, I kind of got the same feeling the very first time I used a Jupyter Notebook and sort of finally understood what they actually did. You know, the idea of having the code and pictures and everything all in one place seems kind of impossible to people at first. And once you finally get it and it clicks for you, it just seems magical. And these style guidance docs were kind of the same thing to me. You can be able to use whatever your stateless components are inside of this documentation, be able to check it out, even view the code to see what it actually looks like. And so for this, sorry if this thing's in the way, for this component here, this is just an example of it, and it's this entry component inside of this listing component. And this is what I was talking about, the compound nature of it. It's just as simple as these little tags here, the entry.icon, entry.name, and entry.last saved, and you could shuffle those in any order or remove them, use them individually or whatever, and it just kind of makes it easy to create something like this in a simple to use way. So that's one thing I had been working on recently. And then another thing I had worked on is at trying to add Git integration to nteract, which I had started I think about a year ago and got a bit sidetracked. But in the meantime, this really great new project has come around called isomorphic Git, and it is a new project that is implementing almost or most of Git, at least the major parts, purely in JavaScript. So before, when we had thought about doing something like this, there were a couple of great libraries out there already, but they were actually bringing along the entire Git, module itself instead of trying to implement something from scratch in JavaScript. So it was kind of adding a lot of extra baggage to nteract that didn't necessarily need to be there. So that's been pretty neat to see that come along, and I can give a quick little demonstration of that if anybody would like to check that out. Oops. So at the moment, let me just save this notebook. So at the moment, I've just got a little menu item up here for Git, and we can create a repository. And now once I save, you'll notice down here in the status bar that we'll see the branch come up. And then we can copy our global config to local, stage changes, commit the changes, and so on. So that's been kind of a neat thing. That one really helped me learn about how epics work. And
Sweet.
everybody
Yes.
still hear me?
Yeah, I think the Git stuff might not have shown for some reason, like for where your computer was at. But at least we can like link the PR again in the setup, and then people can see like how it works. So it's like really close. Really close. Oh, that's okay. So the compound components are like super cool. I think what else is neat there? I don't know if you didn't show it, but you can like live edit that component to change things. Which you know what, I might as well. Let's see if I can exit full screen, and I'll share my screen. Yeah, so these components, like you've shown before, you can like show the code, but then of course you can actually change all of this right here. So this counter up here says 1, and I can change the number and it'll render it, and I can show that it's queued or that it's busy. Oh no, it's not busy. What is it, running? Yeah. And so it shows whatever the visual representation is, be of like simple props. And then the fact that, so these are compound components too. The thing that makes them compound is just that there's a relationship between the children and the parent. And so I'm going to move the source before the prompt here. So now the prompt is on the right, and the sources on the left. And all we have to do is flip those. So just kind of adding on to Alex's stuff. So I'm really happy with that pattern working really well. And it's working really well for the directory listing too. So it's like, build actual HTML elements. So awesome. Great stuff, Alex.
Thanks.
Yeah. So unless anybody else has anything, I think we're good. This is our first meeting. We'll put it all up on YouTube and go from there. I know next week is sci-fi, so some folks might not be able to come. Matthias wasn't able to make it today, but he's hoping that maybe he'll make it next week. But while he's at sci-fi, so we'll see.
Is there any meetups or anything going on for folks at Sci-Fi?
M is running a sprint, but I think that's about it. I'm not going to be at Sci-Fi. I'm going to be here in Los Gatos with my family. I'm assuming you're going, Andy, because you're there.
Yeah, I'll be there, but I don't know if there's anyone wants to meet up and do something with Interact, that would be cool. I'd love to find someone to dive into the code with. But
John Detlefs, you're in Austin, right? Maybe John is gone.
yeah, well, there is a open source.
Sorry, I'm here. Took a second.
Oh, so you're in Austin still, right, John?
Yes.
Yeah. So Andy was talking about pairing with someone else there in Austin. So next week is SciPy.
I think I have a 24-hour window on canceling my ticket if you want to, but we can do a sci-fi sprint if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Andy was hoping. He was like, I don't know if any meetups are going on or anything's happening during SciPy next week. This is well before the global sprint.
Yeah, I would
well
be
before the Interact sprint.
I have some serious sci-fi FOMO, so if you want to meet up during sci-fi, I'd love to meet up. That'd be great.
Cool. Well, I'll be at the Num Focus booth most of the time, so
Okay.
I'd love to say hi to anybody.
Do you want to hack during the sprints? Or are you gonna be there for the sprints?
Unfortunately, I have a previous engagement, so I won't be there during the sprints.
That makes sense.
Just during the conference.
Yeah, that's more than enough. All right. Well, maybe we can meet up at a coffee shop and hack or something. We can talk off the channel here.
Awesome. We'll do. Find you on Slack.
Sweet. Okay. Thanks, everybody. See you next week and see you online.
Bye.
Bye.